Hello and welcome to math. I just want you to know that I do miss you guys so much. I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're being your best selves for our teacher that is in, taking care of all of you, for Mrs. Paul. And I can't wait to see you when I come back on Monday. Having said that, let's get our notebooks out. I'd like you to title them Unit 4, Lesson 4.1.1, Day 2. You'll need your notebooks. You'll only need your iPads if you are listening to this online. Otherwise, you can just keep those iPads next to you and just take them out when we're going to do homework. Go ahead and pause this video, and when you're ready, we will move to the next slide together. Okay, so our learning targets for Day 2 of 4.1.1 are the same as they were for Day 1. They are, I can identify the original shape and the copy. I can increase or decrease a shape. And lastly, I can determine if shapes are similar. That was on there yesterday. We didn't quite get there yesterday. We will definitely get there today. So just a little reminder of where we were yesterday. We talked about the copy machine. We looked at shapes. We made them bigger, which is called enlarge, and smaller, which is called reduce. To do this activity, we used a multiplier that's called a scale factor, and we also used a formula of ratios to check our work and make sure we were doing things correctly. Hopefully you have definitions for all three of these words: enlarge, reduce, scale factor. If you do not, please go back to yesterday's slides and make sure that you write all that down. Yesterday, we also discovered a new thought, a new word, a new math concept called corresponding sides. Very big word. We noticed that when we have two shapes and they've either been enlarged or reduced using the correct method, we have sides that are called corresponding sides. Today we're going to dive deeper into that, and that's how we kind of get to our similar shapes activity. Lastly, the ratio formula. We used the length of a copy over top of the length of the original. Making a fraction is just a fancy word for division, and the answer that we got was the scale factor. So we're going to spend a lot of time looking at this ratio today. Again, if you don't have this written down in your classwork notebook, make sure that you pause this video and write this down. We're going to be using it a whole bunch, and I want to make sure that you have it available to you so you are not searching for it. So on to today. Today we're going to practice all this learning that we had yesterday, all this new learning. We're going to make our problems a little bit more challenging. And lastly, we're going to go backwards to see if we can understand what we've learned. So are you ready? Let's try a few. Our first problem today comes from our classwork textbook, and it is problem 2 in Unit 4. So today, Karen is using our copy machine to enlarge the figure below by 200%. So we have 3 steps here. Let's work through them together. What I'd like you to do, please, is to pause the video, and I would like you to copy down that original shape. Once you've copied down that original shape, I'd like you to complete step 1, which is to write the length of each side of the shape on the shape. When you're done with that, go back to the video and we'll start step 2 together. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you were able to write down all the side lengths. Let's take a look and see if you did what I think you should have done. Let's start with the very top. This side length, the length from here to here, is just 1. That would be the same length for here and here. Moving on to this one, 2 leaps for Cecil. So that is 2, and then on the bottom, it is also 2. Now, this one right here, we don't know the measure of that, and that may have thrown you off a tiny bit. We can't measure on the diagonal like this. That is just going to be something that we have to be able to draw, And if we do all the other sides correctly, then that will naturally be a connector for us. Lastly, this side is 1. Pause the video and make sure that you did the same thing. Okay, moving on. Let's have a discussion about what the scale factor is. So we want to know a scale factor for a multiplier of 200%. Do you remember that we're going to take that 200%? We're technically dividing it by 100, and that's going to give us 2. So our multiplier is going to be 2. All right? So what we want to do now is we want to increase each one of the individual sides by a factor of 2. So we're going to take 1 times 2, which is going to give us 2, and we're going to take 2 times 2, and that's going to give us 4. So again, I would like you to pause this video, draw the copy shape, then come back and we'll do it together. Welcome back. So let's start on the very bottom. We know we need a length of 4, and we know we're going to have that length replicated twice. I'm going to start way over here. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, and 4 for that bottom shape. Then I'm going to come up 2, 1, 2. I think I'm going to write all the side lengths down as I go, just so it's one less thing I need to do. Then I'm going to have 4 this way, 2 going up, 2 going across, 2 coming down, and then this is that connector that we talked about. So that's hopefully what your shape looked like. So this would be step 3 that we just completed. What do you think? How did you do? Were you able to do this work? Were you able to understand how to enlarge, which means to make bigger, the original shape, and this would be our copy. So here we have what we just completed. We have our original shape right here, and we have our copy shape right here. You can see that up on the top I have some new instructions. I'll read them out for you. Let's use our new formula, that would be this one over here, copy over original, and check our work. Then it says, can you find all the corresponding sides? So I want to do that work together with you first, before we work on the original copy over original formula, excuse me. So what I would like you to do, if you have a highlighter available to you, that's great. If you don't, you can just use your own method. You can pause the video also, and you can go up and grab some markers. They're right underneath my front desk where my document camera is. There's a whole huge box of them. Please feel free to help yourself. Just make sure you put them back when you're finished. So I'm going to start with a green highlighter, and I'm going to work on this side right here. If I have that side and that side, those are corresponding sides. I want to also point out to you right now that the blue side on the bottom, right here, and here, these two, are already highlighted for you. They are corresponding sides. So now I'm going to move on. I'm going to have this side and this side be corresponding sides. And then I'm going to have this side and this side. I am running out of colors. I don't know what this one's going to look like. Let's see. Oh, I guess it's just gray. Okay. My little thing that I have here does not allow me to have anything more than 4 colors, so I am sorry about that. I'm going to find ones that are the same length here and here, and I'm going to highlight them in the same color. We are not going to highlight this diagonal, remember, because the length of that we are not necessarily concerned with. So let's go back and let's use our formula. Let's start with the blue one on the bottom. Remembering that we want the copy on the top and the original on the bottom. One thing that I want you to think about doing is if you follow through with a consistent color each and every time, then me as your teacher and you as the student are able to quickly go back and check, oh, all the blue numbers are there, all the red numbers are there, all the yellow numbers are there. So finding that consistency within doing things is really a nice challenge for your brain to keep things organized. Not necessarily something you have to do, just a little bit of an optional activity. So let's start with the blue. When we talk about our copy over original, we have 4 over 2. When we reduce that fraction, we get a value of 2, and that should be our scale factor. We're going to do it like that. We're going to write it in that simplified kind of notation. Let's keep going. Let's try the green. On the green, we have our copy side, which is 2 over top of our original side, which is 1. And again, when we simplify that, we get 2 for our scale factor. Let's move on to red. For the red side, we have 2 of them. We're only going to do it once. We have 2 over top of 1, exactly like the last fraction we just reduced. So 2 would be our scale factor. And then lastly is the kind of grayish, and that is 2 over 1 again. And also, that is a scale factor of 2. So what we're doing right here in all of these different formulas is we are checking. We got the same number each time, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each time we did our ratio of copy over original, we got the exact same number for the scale factor, 2 each time, which means that when we enlarged our shape, we did it correctly. Using the corresponding sides formula of copy over original, we were able to go back and find the scale factor. So we've done a lot of enlarging. It's time now to try to reduce something. Karen wants to try scaling the figure below by 50%. That would be reducing. 50%. That would end up being 0.5 or a half. A half is big. So what I want you to do is pause this video, and then I want you to follow step 1 through 4. Write the length of each side of the shape on the original shape. We'll write original over here, O-R-I-G-I-N-A-L. Little messy writing from Mrs. Brewer. And then what is the scale factor? We know that it is 0.5 or 1/2. Multiply each side, draw the new shape, and use the formula to check your work. In order to do that, this step right here, you need to highlight each corresponding side. So once you have done that, come back, and then I'm going to go through the whole thing. You can check your work as I do it. Okay, welcome back. So hopefully you were able to write all of your side lengths. So I'm going to show you which I have for my new shape, or my original shape, excuse me. On the top, I have 2 and 2 and 2. It gets messy. 2 and 2, lots of 2s and 2. Down here I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 leaps for Cecil. And on the side I have 4 also. It's giving me a hard time. Totally giving me a hard time, you guys. Sorry, I'm going to have to write the 4 way over here. I have this little bar that I can't seem to get past. Okay, done. That was quite the struggle. So what I want to do is I'm going to take each of the sides. If I take 2 and I multiply that by 0.5, or I take half of that, I'm going to get 1. If I take 4 and I multiply that by 0.5, or take half of that, I'm going to get 2. So my new shape, my copy, is going to have side lengths of 1 and 2. So let's get started drawing. So I'm going to have a 1, and I'm going to have a 1, and another 1, and another 1, and another 1. So I have 1, 2, and 3. So I have 1, 2, and 3. One more down. Always good to check. Then I'm going to have 2 coming back. I'm going to have 2 coming down. And then here's that diagonal. Remember, we don't worry about the length of that. So we have 2 on the bottom and 2 on the side. So that's step 3. Multiply each side and draw the new shape, the copy. Step 4 says use the formula to check your work. So we're going to highlight our corresponding sides right now. I'm going to use green to highlight all of the 2s and the 1s. So all of these are the same. And I'm going to do this also because those are all the same. Let's see if I can get over here. Okay. And then I'm going to use red to highlight these. And I can't get over to there. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and use our formula to check our ratio. Let's start with the green. I have 2, nope, that is not right, because we do not want to start with the original, you guys. It's so easy to make that mistake. We want to start with the copy, right? So I have 1 over 2 for all of the green, and 1 over 2 is equal to 0.5, and as you know, that is our scale factor for all of our green highlights. Let's work on the red. As you know, we have our copy, which is 2 over 4, and that also reduces to 0.5 as our scale factor. So yay, we did it correctly. Hopefully you were able to get here. Every time we do one of these problems, hopefully it's making a new memory in your brain, and you're able to take the knowledge that you had last time in that problem, transfer it to the problem moving forward, make some mistakes, it's okay, learn from those, and then move forward. So what did you notice about the ratios for Karen's new shape? Hopefully you noticed that they were all the same. So what we're looking for is equivalent or same ratios. How do these ratios compare to the scale of 50%? Well, our ratios were 1/2 and 2/4, and both of those simplified to 0.5. Now, if we multiplied 0.5 times 100 to get back to the percent, we would end up with 50%. So they are all equivalent. Lastly, is the new shape bigger or smaller? It is smaller. Do you know why? What do you think? Let's take a look at this. When we had a ratio of 200%, our shape got bigger. When we had a ratio of 50%, our shape got smaller. What I want you to think about is, how does this number relate to 100%? And how does this number relate to 100%? Hopefully you see that 200% is bigger, right, than 100%. Therefore, our shape would become bigger. And hopefully you can see that 50% is smaller than 100%, which would make our new shape smaller. So again, there's all these fabulous checks and balances that are really woven into this math. So if you really start to think about all of the things that you can do to ask yourself those little questions as you move forward into your problems, these will really help you in your understanding, and they'll also help you to check your work to make sure that you did them right. All right. Let's move on to problem 3. So for this problem, I'm not going to have the instructions. I'm just going to have a prompt at the top. This is what you would see on homework. This is what you would see on maybe a Friday formative or a unit test. So again, we're always scaffolding. We're starting out with all of the instructions, and then as we move through each problem, we're taking them away a little bit at a time. So putting it together, apply a scale factor of 50%. We want 50% right here. Will the new shape be bigger or smaller? It will be smaller, right? Because 50% is less than 100%. So I want you to apply that scale factor, sketch it, and then find the corresponding sides. Use the formula and check your work. Make sure that you're highlighting each of the corresponding sides, and also make sure that you're writing all the side lengths down. Come back when you're done. Okay, welcome back. So let's go ahead and write our side lengths. We have a side length of 1, and then we have a side length of 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 and 3 again, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that one is 6. And that's our original shape. We want a scale factor of 50%. So we know that we're going to have 3, and then we're going to have to multiply that by 0.5. We're going to take half of 3. Half of 3 is 1 1/2, 1.5. We're also going to have 6 times 0.5, and half of 6 is 3. That's a way better number. And then we have 1. We're going to take half of 1. What's between 0 and 1? Half. This should feel a little bit difficult, but I think you can kind of guesstimate what is halfway between two of the dots. So let's try to give it a shot, all right? So I'm going to use blue. I'm going to start with the number 6. I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to draw the 3 down, just because that's the one that's the solid number. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3, and that's a measure of 3. Now I know that my 3, this one, is 1 1/2. So it's 1 full one and then about a half of another one. That's okay. And then I'm going to have another full one all the way up and another half. On the top, I'm just going to have a half. And then remember, we just do our connection just like that. So I have 0.5, I have 1.5, 1.5, and then an unknown. Okay, let's go ahead and highlight our sides that are similar. I'm going to do the 0.5s in red, and then I'm going to do the 3 in blue, and then I'll do this last one, the 1.5s, in green. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our ratios. Now, some of these ratios are challenging, right? Let's start with green. Let's start with blue. We want to have our copy, which is 3, over top of our original, which is 6. 3 over 6 is equal to 1/2, which is equal to 0.5. So we did do that right. That is our scale factor. Now, the next ones are going to be kind of challenging, right? We're going to have 0.5 over 1. Hopefully you know that anything over 1 is itself. Remember, we did that last unit, unit 2, when we had to do some multiplication of fractions. So love that prior learning coming on back. So anything over 1 is itself, so it's 0.5, and that's our scale factor. So lovely and easy. I realized that I should have written that in red, so I'm just going to circle that. Okay, let me get my act together. So last but not least, we have 1.5 over 3. And that's going to be the one that's going to be challenging and that you would have to use a calculator for. But when you do that, you also get 1/2 or 0.5 as your scale factor. How did we do? We did perfect. So going backwards, we talk about this all the time. How do we know if we understand something that's new? Well, we have to do 2 things. We have to practice as much as we can, and then we have to go backwards in our learning. We have to see if we know what we're doing, decide if we need more practice to get there, or that we're ready to move forward. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at some shapes on the next slides, and we're going to go backwards to decide if they are similar figures. We're going to use our formula, we're going to use our math, and we're going to make some decisions. But first, there's some more writing down. So similar figures are figures that have the same shape, so they're identical shapes, but they're not the same size. They would either be bigger or smaller. So if you had enlarged a shape, your copy would be bigger than your original, and if you had reduced a shape, your copy would be smaller than your original. Either way, the ratio of the corresponding signs would be the same all the way around. And one other thing, I just want to throw this out there. We're not going to spend a lot of time in this learning, but just as a thought, similar shapes have angles that are the same also. So that's something to just throw out there. We won't really talk about that till we do geometry, which won't be till March. Okay, let's dive right in. So Patty thinks she drew a similar copy of the original figure below. What we want to do is we want to find the corresponding sides and color them. Next, we want to write the ratios for each of the pairs of sides and compare the ratios. Are they similar? Well, asking really, did Patty make a good copy? So this is kind of going backwards. This is after everything has been applied. We have our original or our copy. We're going to go back and see what Patty did, if she did a good job. So let's start again with the idea of highlighting. If we have this 2, I'm going to highlight all the 2's in the same color. Make my life a little easier. And then I have my 4's. Again, I'll do those in blue. And then last but not least, I have this 3 and I have this 6. So again, I'm going from the original to the copy to try to see if I can identify corresponding sides. That's step 1. Let's go through. We'll start with all of our red. So again, we want copy over original. So for red, each one is 4 over 2, which would give me a simplified fraction of 2. So what I'm thinking right now is that Patty used a scale factor of 2, but I have to verify that. Let's take a peek at the blue ones. So again, I have copy, which is 8, over original, which is 4. When I reduce that fraction, I again get 2 for my scale factor. So far, so good, Patty. Last one in green, The copy side is 6 and the original side is 3. When I reduce that fraction one more time, I get a scale factor of 2. So Patty did a great job, and the scale factor that she used was 2. How did you do? Let's try it again. Okay, so this one is one that I want you to try on your own. Follow the exact same process that I did last time. Go back and look at the slide one more time if you need to. Draw the shapes, pause the video, highlight all of the sides, do all of the math, and see how Patty did this time. When you're ready, push play, and I'll be right here to go through it with you. Okay, so welcome back. Let's start by doing our highlighting. I'm going to start again with red. These sides are similar. They're in the same space. I don't have anything else at that same number, so I'm just going to keep going around, and I'm going to just keep highlighting my different sides. I will, of course, run out of colors one more time. Have to try to, I don't think I will this time because there's only 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I think I'm good. Okay, so here we go. Fabulous. Let's go back and use our formula. We can start with red. So what we want, again, is the idea of copy over original, right? So we have 18 divided by 36. Hopefully you know that 18 times 2 is 36, so that's going to reduce to 1/2 or 0.5 as a scale factor. So right now I want to think that Patty used 0.5 again as a scale factor to go from her original to her copy. Let's see how she did as she went all the way around. So let's go ahead and take a peek at the blue side. So again, we want 6 over 12. That reduces to a fraction of 1/2 or 0.5 for our scale factor. So far, so good, Patty. Let's move on to green. We have 19 over 30. Well, there's a problem with that. Let's take a peek at our math. If we take the denominator and we divide that by 2, which is what we know we want, right? Because we want to be able to have a corresponding side that is going to be 1/2. So if we take that 30 and we divide that by 2, we multiply this by 2, we're going to get 15 on the top, not 19. So we know that we do not have a corresponding side because when we take our 30 side and we divide our 30 by 2, we should have gotten 15. We got 19. So it is not a scale factor that is corresponding. So you can stop at that point. You don't have to continue because once one side fails, then the entire shape is not similar. But let's keep going. Say that you did the 52 and 26. So let's go ahead and do that one. So if we have 26 on the top and we have 52 on the bottom, we know that half of 52 or half is 26. So we have 1/2 and our scale factor would be 0.5. So it works here and here and here, but it does not work here. So how was Patty's work this time? It was not correct. This side should have been 15. So these two shapes are not similar. So that last problem was a little bit confusing, and that's okay. It's the first time we've looked at one that didn't work. Again, when you look at something for the first time, you're supposed to be confused. On a fist of 5, I would expect you to be anywhere between a 1 and a 2 on that last problem. So if that's where you are exactly where you want to be. 100% perfect. Do not worry about it and do not stress about it because you know that we will do anything that we have trouble with a minimum of 3 to 5 times because that's when your brain makes that long-term memory. So just put it into the pile of yet. It's just a yet, and that's okay. What I'd like you to do right now is to go back out to Canvas and to complete problem 2 and 3, which is on the second page. I have loaded up the answer key onto your home page of Canvas. So once you have done all of your work, both pages, the 9 and the 1 from yesterday and the 2 and 3 from today, checked your work, you can submit it. I hope that you're having a great day. And again, I can't wait to see you on Monday.